Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that saw Adelaide absolutely pump the Bombers. That's right, we called it here at Half a Point in the preseason. Everyone called me crazy. Adelaide look like a top four side right now, don't they? What a weekend of footy. We're going to be breaking down all of the round two games and giving our five best bets for round three. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host, Carlton Superfan. Cuss, mate, how you going?
I'm good. I'm good. It was a good week of footy. A few disappointments, but nah, it was all around a good week.
Mate, 3-2 for you, 2-3 for me. Bit disappointing. I had a losing week. First losing week for me since round 23 last year. So I went winning from round 24, the whole final series up until now. So it was bad to happen one of these weeks.
Yeah.
2-3, not too bad. You're 3-2. First time you're actually beating me here, in the competition. So I got a bit of work to do, but I guess I'm an underdog now. So I love that spot for me. Um, if you're new to the channel, please leave a like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our socials. We're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. So give us a follow on those. And also a reminder to please gamble responsibly. All right, Cuss, here we go. Let's jump into round two. Um, it was a pretty good round of footy. Dogs went 5-3 ATS. Had a really good Sunday, 3-0 on Sunday, 3-5 straight up. So St Kilda cover and win as 20-point dogs. Sydney as short dogs and North as like 15-point dogs as well. So a couple big dogs in there covering. We love to see it. That's why we love this competition. It's so unpredictable. I'm sure everyone had a really bad tipping week. I know I did. But mate, let's jump into it. Thursday night footy. We're on the Blues, both of us, at 16 and a half. I felt like we were quite unlucky not to cover there. We got backdoored by the Hawks. We are covering all game. Honestly, you guys probably should have won that game. My takeaway from that game is the Hawks are really good. They were really clean. Carlton really brought everything, which is all that we can ask for, really. The Hawks had just outclassed them. So yeah, I just my takeaway is that the Hawks are really good. But they're humans too. They'll come down the market. We'll catch up to them. So I'm not going to overact too much. But yeah, what were your takeaways from that game?
Yeah, look, it was like a really close game. Up until the third quarter, we went goalless in the third quarter, and that's probably what really cost us that win or that cover on Carlton. But yeah, it was pretty much up until then looking really good, looking good for like the win as well. So yeah, a bit disappointing, but I think if you picked Carlton, then it's just unlucky.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good pick, I'd say. Um, Moving on to Western Bulldogs, Collingwood, mate, perfectly read once again here at half a point. I said last week I jumped on Collingwood minus 5.5. I left that ticket to be, and we jumped on Western Bulldogs plus 9.5. Mate, absolutely hammered the middle again. They Collingwood win by 6. Another great pick, I think. Like the cover, we would have been again really unlucky if we didn't cover this game. Not a lot of people were in our competition. I think it was just me and you, and it proved to be the right side there. That's one of those picks where there's always one of these picks every week where, no one sort of sees it coming, and we were able to identify it last week. So we're on the right side there. Really good pick by us. Yeah, it was just a great spot for them. Collingwood coming back down to earth a little bit, but still picking up the 4 points, which is really valuable. Like, love that win as a Pie supporter. Moving on to Essendon Adelaide, mate. Break it down for us.
Oh, mate, it was absolute demolition job over here. Um, I don't think Essendon were in the game at all. Maybe a little bit in that first quarter where they kicked a couple goals towards the end of the quarter, but you know, after that, it was just a demolition job by the Crows. They really look like a strong team, especially with their forward line. Um, it's a hard forward line to get past. So yeah, I loved it, loved the performance from the Crows there.
I'm not going to go too early here, but fairly someone saw it coming. Um, Mate, yeah, imagine scoring 100 points and just being not in the game at all.
Yeah.
Insane. Port Adelaide, Richmond, snooze fest. Didn't really watch it. Actually, I did watch it. But like. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Seemed like a waste of time. Yeah, Port Adelaide cover easily. Again, yeah, we bought the team that sort of we bought the team low and sold high on Richmond, and once again, it comes to fruition week in week out. That's just how we read the market here. St Kilda Geelong, mate, what an upset!
yeah. I think yeah, everyone expected Geelong to at least win the game. Didn't happen. St Kilda really brought everything they had, except in that last quarter. I thought they were a little bit iffy. But they did really well to hold on, especially in the last 10 minutes of that quarter. They found a way to hold on there.
Mate, Ross Lyon as a dog. We said last week, don't jump off him. I know they laid an egg against Adelaide, but we're gonna stick to our principles, and they pay off here. Um, yeah, the cover was never in doubt. So even though
Yeah,
Geelong won, it was 20-point dogs. Like we were gonna cover no matter what. Brisbane, West Coast, West Coast brought it somehow. Brisbane just didn't wake up. Yeah, really bad pick, I'd say, from me. That's on me for picking 60-point favorite. Like I never pick big favorites, and that
yeah.
I feel like it was the right side, but I can't really say that if they only won by 22 and the cover never was really on. So I put my hand up, pretty bad pick there. That's on me. North Melbourne, Melbourne.
Yeah, so we've blindsided here, absolutely blindsided. Kangas find a way to win by 59 points. In the pod, like in last week's podcast, I did say, look, Melbourne might get up and buy about 30 points. And I was thinking about the game that night and I was just like, nah, I can't hop on Melbourne here. It's just too risky. And look what happened. It was they were good. In that last quarter, I think they went 8 goals, one. So yeah, glad I did not hop on that one.
Yeah, keep having those epiphanies, mate. Yeah, it served you well this time around. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fremantle, Sydney, another bad pick by me. 7.5-point favorites. There was a right side. I thought Sydney weren't that good. They ended up winning by 3 points, so I'm still selling my Sydney stock. They didn't look that impressive, but we said at the start of this year we're fading both of these teams. We're fading Fremantle as well. So I'm
Yeah.
not like one of these teams we're gonna lose. But yeah, these guys until they win again, they're fraud mental for me. Yeah, as we said, dogs go 5-3 ATS. So good wins, good week for the dogs. I'm pretty sad they only went 2-3. But yeah, 3-5 straight up. So if you bet their money lines, then you had a really good time. All right, let's jump into round three here. Um, some good lines, some interesting lines. I really like this week. I really like this week. I think yeah, it's a perfect opportunity to bounce back. Last year I didn't have back-to-back losing weeks, so pressure's on for me this week. But I think this is. I think I'll get there. Um, yeah, pressure's on, but yeah, this is where I thrive. So
Yep.
to get us started. Essendon versus Port Adelaide Thursday night game at Marvel Stadium. Last time they played was at the Adelaide Oval. 23 Port were 23.5-point favourites, and they ended up blowing them out by 69 points. That might have been the gather round game, I think. Um, in this game, Essendon are 7.5-point favourites at home. The Essendon Whisperer, he's back. Give me the Bombers to win outright here. Mate, this is the perfect spot to jump on the Bombers. Blown out against Adelaide. Everyone's writing them off. They're all over the media. Yeah, this is the perfect spot for them to bounce back. You're going to get a high effort, high intensity game by the Bombers here. I expect them to win. You know, the Marvel crowd up and about. Yeah, I'm just playing the spot here. The number's probably right. Like, it's pretty low, honestly. Like, you'd expect it to be a little bit higher. If this was in Adelaide, what would the number be? Probably in the mid 20s. But yeah, it's all the way down to just over a goal here. I think the number's fine. I'm just playing the spot here. Buying pretty low on this Essendon side. Not getting too much value with the number, but I expect them to win outright. So give me the Bombers to beat Port Adelaide. What do you think?
Yeah, love that. I expect to bounce back as well, especially with all the talk in the media this week. And then, like they didn't offensively, they didn't do too bad. They scored 100 points. They were just really unlucky to have no defense at all. But I think a bit of patchwork, and I think they'll be definitely in this game. I expect a win as well. It'll be real close game, but I expect Essendon to win here.
I don't think it's going to be close. I think they win by 20 plus. I honestly, I don't think it will be close.
Yeah, love that.
Port, I hate Port. as we know. So, yeah, the Essendon Whisperer is coming back and he's coming back with a vengeance. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Carlton Western Bulldogs. Friday night footy, mate. Carlton just hogging all the primetime spots. At Marvel Stadium. Last time they played was at Marvel. Carlton were 12.5 point favorites, but lost outright to the Bulldogs. This time around, Carlton are 2.5 point dogs. Where are you going?
Yeah, a bit of line movement. I think a few days ago Carlton were the favourites, so it's flipped now. And we both thought last week it was time for Carlton to stand up and actually deliver in the game. But yeah, I best believe this is the week. This is the week that they bounce back. They win this game outright. You know what? If they don't cover this, then that's it. I'm not jumping on them to cover for the rest of the year. I'm done. But they have to cover here.
Yeah, absolutely stepping in it, mate. Give me the Western Bulldogs here. Yeah, absolutely stepping in it. I'm jumping off Carlton here. I said they're going to win the premiership, and mate, the premiership winner last year also started 0-3. The grand finalist Sydney also lost to Richmond, so I'm not writing off their premiership odds. Yeah, absolutely stepping in it here. All the pressure's on Carlton. I know the Dogs, man. If Western Bulldogs were the dogs here, I'd be all over them because they're short favorites. I don't know. I'm just a little bit tentative that the market has caught up to this Carlton side, but mate, give me the Western Bulldogs here. I absolutely love it. I don't feel like I just feel like no one's gonna be on this. Like it just
Yeah.
feels like everyone's gonna be like, this is the week for Carlton. This is the week for Carlton. I can't see it. I as in it feels like things just go from bad to worse here.
Mm.
I hope they lose, and then I'll jump on their premiership odds. It'll be in like the mid 20s. So then, that's I'm hoping to buy really low on Carlton. I feel like this is the last week of their rut. Yeah, it just feels like all the momentum's against them now. Like they really went all out last week, and they still couldn't win. Just feel like they're sort of winded a little bit. I feel like they're just gonna have like inefficient inside 50s again. It's just gonna be one of those games where maybe they don't kick well. When things aren't good going well for a club, they sort of just seem to trickle until like they have one game where they just turn around. So I think it continues here. I'm not sure if he'll be part of my five, but give me the Western Bulldogs minus the points here. You're
Mm.
absolutely stepping in it, I think. Do you think he'll be one of your five?
I think so, yeah.
All right, that's
I'm
fair
backing the
enough.
boys here.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. All right, moving on to Melbourne Gold Coast Saturday afternoon game at the MCG. The last time they played Gold Coast were 15.5 point favorites at People's First. I was on Gold Coast that game. I was like, what the hell? This is so easy. And they got blown out by 54 points. So the line for in this game is 2.5. Melbourne are 2.5 point dogs at home. Give me Melbourne plus 2.5. What are we doing here? Who the hell are Gold Coast to be 2.5 point favorites at the MCG? Yep, they're 2-0 ATS as home favorites. Sorry, as away favorites in their last two matchups, albeit against Richmond in round 24 last year and round one against West Coast this year. This is just way too much respect for this Gold Coast team, mate. We are catching 3.5 versus the Giants, and we're all over it. This
Yeah.
number's 2.5 versus Gold Coast. Like, what are we doing here? Um, Again, a lot of criticism for their loss against North last week. Um, yeah, once again, like who the hell? It's just who the hell. I'm just fading Gold Coast away from home. Yeah, this is just not. This is the exact right spot to bounce for Melbourne to bounce back. Yeah, give me Melbourne plus 2.5. I'm tossing up between this one and the Bulldogs for my fifth pick. But yeah, this opened around a pick as well. So I feel like it's handicapped right. Like Gold Coast probably should be favourites based on what's happened, but I just don't think that that's an accurate reflection of how the teams are. So give me Melbourne plus 2.5. Where are you going?
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't think Gold Coast really deserve that line. I think Melbourne, they had a tough week last week. I expect them to bounce back really tough like have a good bounce back.
Yep.
Um and yeah, I just can't ignore the record of Gold Coast at an away ground. So I'm jumping on Melbourne here. I expect them to win pretty easily here.
Yeah, love it. Also, I just feel like the score last week was a little bit inflated versus North. Like they were in it until the third quarter, and then North
Mm.
just piled on in the fourth. So I feel like we're getting an extra point or two of free extra point or two, and we saw with that Melbourne game versus the Giants it really mattered. The number, I think that closed at 2.5 as well. So we're getting pretty much exact same number for the same team. Like there's
Yeah.
no like injury really. Oh, sorry, actually that closed around 8ish because May was a laid out, but still the 3.5 covered. So um yeah, give me Melbourne here. All right, moving on to St Kilda Richmond. Um, 4:15 on Saturday at Marvel. Last time they played, St Kilda were 23.5 point favorites and ended up covering. Um, this time around, they are 27.5 point favorites. At Marvel again. Where are you going with this one?
Don't have too much of a read on this one, but if I was to side with a team, it would probably be St Kilda here. It's versing Richmond. Got Ross Lyon as the coach. Saw what he did last year. I think, yeah, Richmond, they don't really have like that bounce back spot. But yeah, like I said, I don't have too much of a read on it, but if I was to take a pick here, I'd probably go with St Kilda.
Yeah, I also don't have much of a read on it, but if I was to go with the pick, probably go with Richmond here. We love Saints as dogs. I always fade Saints as favorites. I'm pretty much never going to be on them as favorites. Yeah, so Sankyo is just one of those teams that just plays like these low scoring, ugly games. So if you're laying points with them, you take the other side. If you're catching points, you like to jump on them, which is what we do. So yeah, I'd probably lean Richmond here, but yeah, it's not going to be one of my five. 27.5, it's over 4 goals, so I think it's quite a good number. This Richmond team is quite like they don't really give up these guys, so I'm gonna like jumping on them here and there throughout the year. This week's not the week, but that's what you really want when you're betting on these bad teams, just to have the effort there until like the very end, so you can get like backdoors and things like that. So yeah, I really like that they come out with intensity and they try to play with intensity for 4 quarters. Yeah, you don't really like those teams that give up because then you don't really get much when you're backing them with these big lines.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Hawthorn GWS Saturday night blockbuster, 7:35 p.m. at in Tasmania. Last time they played GWS are 2.5 point favorites and they won by two, so Hawks ended up covering. They Hawks blew like a really big lead in the fourth quarter there. The line for this in this case is Hawthorn minus 12.5. So give me the Giants to beat the Hawks straight up here. Mate, this Giants team plays Hawthorn so close every time. Even the game before that last one I talked about, was a really close game that Hawthorn ended up winning, but they were underdogs there. Um, yeah, 12.5 is a huge number. They're coming off a bye. Um, Hawthorn had a really high intensity game against Carlton where Carlton sort of brought everything. I just expect a little bit of a letdown here. I feel like the Giants have been targeting this Hawthorn team. Hawthorn's sort of become the targeted team of the league now. Yeah, so they can't keep covering these numbers, man. Like, they're gonna come back down to earth a little bit. Like it's a long season. They're gonna have a letdown spot. I feel like this is it. Yeah, give me the Giants to beat Hawthorn straight up. Where you going?
Yeah, I like the Giants pick. I'm not necessarily as confident as you with the win. But yeah, I definitely think Giants can definitely cover this line. Um, I just like the way that they play. It's just I feel like it's catered towards a way that they can counter Hawthorn. So yeah, I'd go with Giants here. But I don't think I'd include this in my five. I don't have much confidence on this one.
That's fair. Away dogs went really well last year, so these types of picks actually did really well last year. So that also helps me out. Yeah, I'm just selling so high on Hawthorn. What is this
Yeah.
number? I thought it would be 6.5 or something.
Mm.
12.5, like seriously. Yeah, I think they definitely cover. I think they win outright though here as well. Moving on to Brisbane Geelong, another Saturday night game. It's terrible AFL fixturing. I know this is the rescheduled game, but like, what are we doing here? At the Gabba. Last time they played was the preliminary final, where Geelong were 3.5 point favourites, and the Lions famously won that game in a ripper at the MCG. This time around, Brisbane are favoured by 12.5 points at the Gabba. Mate, where are you going with this one?
Um, I think I think Geelong really missed out on Bailey Smith last week. They pretty much couldn't do anything in the contest. And that was just a pretty poor performance from the midfield group. Um, they did well to sort of close it up, but yeah, I think everything went wrong for Brisbane last week, and that's why I feel like Brisbane can cover. They just did well, like in that last quarter when they sort of got their game plan together a little bit. They did a little bit better. It is another game I'm going to stay away just because I feel like I don't have a proper read on this game. But if I had to pick, I'd probably go with Brisbane.
Give me Geelong to beat Brisbane straight up, man. I've got upset central here.
Yeah.
Mate, I love Geelong in this spot. This is probably my favorite pick of the week. Bit of weather as well on Saturday night. We saw this exact same game last year. It was a bit of weather. Brisbane were 11.5 point favorites and Geelong went outright. So I'm just predicting the same thing to happen. Geelong coming off a bounce back, coming off a really bad performance versus St Kilda, where they almost ended up winning. They got completely outplayed and almost ended up winning. If they capitalize on those opportunities at the end, they win that game. Um, and the way they were to come back as well, like this Geelong team's pretty legit. Um, I just think that Brisbane haven't woken up yet. I feel like they need that wake up call. I know people are saying it was probably the West Coast game, but they ended up winning, man. And also they're coming off that West Coast game was like really humid that day. Like players were cramping left, right, and center. It's only a 6 day break here, so I feel like that comes into play. Yeah, it's just such a good spot here for Geelong. I know they're on the road, but they're catching over 2 goals here. At yeah 12, 13 and a half, wherever you can find it. There are a couple 14 and a halves out there as well. I'll take whatever you can. But yeah, the points are going to be really valuable here, especially in the wet. So yeah, give me Geelong to cause the upset and beat Brisbane. Um, yeah. All right. Moving on to Adelaide North, Melbourne. Sunday afternoon game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played Adelaide were 27.5 point favorites at Blunston Arena and ended up blowing them out and winning by 57. This time around, they're 38.5 point favorites. Stay away from me. I'd lean North Melbourne. Just because, man, Adelaide keep blowing these teams out, and I know, man, I really want to jump on Adelaide for one of these games early in the season, but like they've just been favorites, and I'm just like, nah, they're not. It's not the right spot. I will find a spot for them. Don't worry. I will be jumping on my team, my Adelaide Crows, but yeah, I feel like North Melbourne's a side here just because yeah, 38 and a half. I feel like it's a pretty good number. If North Melbourne are a lot better than people perceive, then yeah, as I said, this is a really good number. Adelaide have blown two teams out. They're going to do it 3 times in a row. That usually doesn't really happen in the AFL. These are professional athletes. You're not really going to score 150 points like that. They've always scored 300 points, which is insane. But yeah, you never know. Like this team could just be on fire and playing like that. So stay away from me. I'd lead North Melbourne though. How about you?
Yeah, I just think North Melbourne had a huge emotional win last week, and they gave it everything. You could see just how depleted they were, but they gave it their all. And yeah, so I do expect them to slide a little bit. They won't. I don't think they'll play with the same quality that they brought last week. And yeah, I just love the forward line of Adelaide. With a mix of Fogarty, Walker, Thilthorpe. Rankin as well. Like it's such a dangerous forward line. Yeah, so stacked. I th This might be my fifth pick. The one that I just squeeze in, but I'm gonna go with Adelaide here. Another blowout.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Like, yeah, I guess North Melbourne is coming off that emotional win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. That's fair enough. Yeah, don't hate it. This number did come down, I think, from early 40s as well. So you're getting a decent number. But I don't see Adelaide blowing out another team. But please prove me wrong, Adelaide. Make me look even smarter. I don't care.
You only
Yeah,
win, eh?
yeah, I know. All right, moving on to West Coast Fremantle. The Derby, Sunday night game at Optus. Last time they played Fremantle 35.5 point favorites and they won by 35. So West Coast ended up coming by half a point there. This time around, West Coast are 27.5 point dogs. Where are you going with this one?
I just think West Coast have like last year did pretty well to cover the line as the dog at over at Optus. And yeah, I feel like they were pretty unlucky to not not unlucky, but like, they gave it their all last week. And it would be pretty tough to lose from there, especially with the start that they did have. So I do expect them to maybe not win the game, but I think they'll cover here. I think Fremantle as well. They're not that great a side. They haven't really sold me anything. So yeah, I'm gonna go with West Coast here to cover.
Yeah, give me a West Coast plus 27.5. Smashing this one. Absolutely love it. You got to take the dog in these derbies. Fraudmantle. These guys are not very good at all. As we saw last week, it was a perfect spot for them. They couldn't cover against Sydney. Yeah, this team was just hyped coming into this year. Um, I'd throw West Coast into like a money line teaser or something like a money line parlay or something like that. Like I really like an upset to happen here. I'm not calling it. I'm not going to tip him, but I can see it happening for sure. But yeah, catching 27.5 points. You can see the market's giving a little bit of respect here to West Coast.
Mm.
They're sort of protecting against that money. I feel like that's what the number's suggesting. I'm not sure if I'm reading that correctly, but maybe that's the case. Whereas we saw quite large spreads last year around. Yeah, so give me West Coast and the points here, absolutely hammering it. All right, that wraps up our round three predictions. Do you want to take us through your five or what you're thinking?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Essendon, Carlton, Melbourne, West Coast. I'm pretty certain on those ones, and then I might squeeze in Adelaide there as my fifth pick.
Yeah, love it. I've got Essendon. I've got the Giants to cause the upset. I've got Geelong to cause the upset. And I've got West Coast plus the points. My fifth pick, I'm tossing up between the Bulldogs and Melbourne. The one of them is going to get in. I really, really, really want to go with the Bulldogs, but I don't know if I can with that number. But yeah, I feel like Melbourne's a safer one, but that's all that always entices me to go with the Bulldogs. So not sure, but yeah, we'll tweet out our picks right before first bounce on Thursday, so you can see what we end up going with there. All right, Cast, that wraps up this episode. Did you have any closing thoughts?
Oh, let's just hope Carlton can get a win, man. Come on. It's so overdue.
Mate, Carlton's going to go on three here, and it's going to be hilarious as we head into Carlton Collingwood. Um, all right, so as a reminder, please, please, please leave a like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and until next week, see you later.